Everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Lightning Data Service session. We hope everybody's having a great Dreamforce so far. And, I'm excited to be here and present this to you. We have some never before seen, at least before Dreamforce seen feature to show you today. So, hold on to your seats and get ready. But before we get started, of course, forward-looking statement. Please make purchasing decisions on what's currently built, not what we're saying we're going to do in the future. My name's Alan Hoffman. I'm an engineer on the Lightning Data Service team on Lightning Platform. I'm here with Praveen Savir, also on Lightning Data Service team. And then Kamyar is our product manager. He's had a conflict with another session, but he's the one guiding our product. So, today we're going to talk briefly about Lightning Platform first and its value proposition. Then we're going to go into Lightning Data Service and how that fits into the Lightning Platform. Then we've got a couple different demos to show you today. Praveen is going to walk through those. And one of those is going to be this awesome new feature that we have in pilot that we're really excited to show you today. All right, so Lightning Platform makes things easier to build and to do on Salesforce. So if you're a developer, you're right at home in Lightning. You can customize things through code, you can extend the application, but if you're a business user or an admin, you're also equally at home in Lightning. You can build custom applications by dragging and dropping components in the app builder and configuring them, and to make your own Lightning pages. So we have this wide spectrum of developer who know code to business users who don't know how to code. You fit into Lightning either way. So this is the application architecture for Lightning. At the very top of the stack is the experience components, things like highlights panel, detail panel, related lists. These are the more complex components, and also any custom components that you might build. And these components are built out of more granular components called base components, things like buttons, fields, navigation elements, text box, things like that. Underneath that is the application layer, which is the Lightning framework. Has things like the styling, the design, the navigation, accessibility, etc. Those are things that you get for free for building on Lightning. And then under that is the data layer. So applications aren't very useful unless they are displaying data that's pertinent to you. So the Lightning Data Service sits on the client side and provides a way for you to access your record data from Salesforce. And it does this through the UI API. This is our public API where you can get all sorts of different kinds of record data, lists, pick lists, object info, layouts, things like that. And then underneath that is the Salesforce servers, which are actually hosting that data and providing those services. So the data flow without Lightning Data Service is you have a bunch of components on the page, and they're all making their own calls to the server to get their own data. So they're not coordinating with each other, which brings up some problems. You can get inconsistencies through your components. If one updates data, the other one might not get that update. You're making duplicate calls to the server potentially, which results in a performance hit. And you have to write some boilerplate code in Apex to provide that data to you. So we came up with the Lightning Data Service as a solution to these problems. All the components that work through Lightning Data Service automatically get synchronized data. So if you update record data in one component, it'll notify other components interested in that record, and you automatically get that synchronization. It also handles taking care of debouncing duplicate calls so that it reduces the load on the server and also caches the record data on the client side. So if it's within the time to live of the cache, then you get that data immediately. You don't have to wait for it to come back from the server. As we were building this, we ran into some problems that we needed to solve. One of these problems is synchronization between Visualforce components and the Lightning components on the page. So a lot of our customers have invested a lot of time and money into building Visualforce components, and they're a first-class citizen on the Lightning platform. So we wanted to make sure that record data remains synced between Lightning components and your visual components on the page. One of the ways that these can get out of sync is through Apex triggers. So if you have a custom Apex trigger hanging off of like saving a record, and then you do some other things and update that record or some other records, the client's not going to know about that because that's happening on the server side. So we needed a way to notify the browser for these data updates that happen on the server. So we're going to show you in a little bit a pilot that solves these problems. So with that, I'm going to go straight into the demo. Praveen's going to guide us through that.
Thanks, Alan. Hello, everybody. My name is Praveen, and I will be going over 2 demos with you. So in the first demo, I'll cover Lightning Data Service and its Force Record Data Interface, and going through a little bit of source code behind that. And the second demo is an interesting feature that we have been working on. So let me start with the first demo. For the first demo, we are going to be using our Properties Dreamhouse app. For that, we have a property custom object, and each record of this custom object represents a property that's on the market. Now, this is the record home for the property record. Now, as you see, this is a typical Lightning page. It has a highlights panel at the top, and we have a details panel here showing details about the property, like what's the name of the property, its address, price, number of bedrooms, and so on. And on the right side, we have a couple of custom Lightning components. The first one shows the number of days it has been on the market. The second component here shows details about the broker record that's associated with the property on the left. And then below that, we have a component that's displaying similar properties based on the price of this property that's shown on the left. Now, here, one thing to note is all these components here are using Force Record Data and Lightning Data Service to fetch their actual data. This means that even though I have like 4 or 5 components on the page, and each of them is using the property record, we are not making 5 trips to the server. Instead, all these components ask Lightning Data Service, and Lightning Data Service makes 1 trip back to the server to fetch the property data. And then it supplies them to all the components. One more benefit of LDS is once any of these components makes an update to a record, LDS takes care of saving the record onto the server, and then it notifies all the components on the page that, oh, here this record has been updated, and each component can update its own data or take any action. For example, let's say here, I'm going to change the name of this one, of the property name to say John's Amazing House. And if you notice, this component here is also using the title. So I save this, LDS saved the record, and boom. So this component is updated, and even this component got the update, so it could display the new title. Similarly, let's see, with prices going up, now this property is selling for $850. So I change the price here in this component, I click save, LDS does the save for you, and then notifies even this component to now display similar properties in the newer price range. So you hit save, and now you see this component got updated and shows you updated data. Now let's briefly go over some of the code behind some of these components. So I'll be going over code behind the broker card component here. So as you notice, this broker card component is displaying broker details, including the broker's email and phone number. And some of these fields are appropriately formatted based on whether it's an email, it's a text, it's a phone number. So let's see how the code looks like. For that, I will switch to the developer console. And here is the broker card component. So it, of course, has the component markup. It has a corresponding JavaScript controller code. So in the broker card component itself, we are defining 2 force record data elements. The first force record data element is asking LDS to fetch the property record with this record ID, and it says save the response in the v.property attribute. And it's also asking it to fetch all the fields on the full layout, and it says that whenever this record is updated, make a callback back to the update broker callback JavaScript function. In the second force record data, we are only asking it to fetch the broker record and save the response in the broker v.broker attribute. We are asking it to fetch all fields on the full layout along with the picture __ C field. Now let's see what happens when this component loads up. It first loads the property record. Once it has loaded the property record, it's going to do a callback to the update broker callback function, which is in the controller. And within the controller, what it does is it fetches the broker record ID associated with this property, sets it on the broker record's force record data, and it says reload record. At this point, LDS goes ahead and fetches the broker record from the server if it doesn't have it already cached, or if it has it already cached, it just serves the component right away. Once it has the broker record, we use the broker details component to do the actual rendering. So if I switch to the broker details component now, here we are using some out-of-the-box Lightning components like the record view form and output fields. So these components like help you in the low-code scenario where you just tell it what fields to display, and these components take care of like doing all the rendering for you. They fetch the metadata, they determine is this a phone number, is this an email, and they do the appropriate rendering. So this is the code behind this. So next, I'll switch to the code behind the similar properties by price component. So again, going to developer console. Here is the component markup. It has a similar force record data element where we load the property attributes and we do a callback to the do search function once the property record is loaded. The do search function prepares a call to make a call to an Apex controller, sets up the filter and search criteria, and once it gets the response back, it sets it in the v.similar properties attribute, and the component markup iterates over it to display all the related properties. And the Apex controller looks like this. It runs 2 custom SOQL queries based on your search criteria. Here in this example, I'm showing Apex because this is a way you can bind like force record data and LDS and still use Apex to do any custom SOQL queries that you want to execute. So LDS helps the components themselves listen or get notified to record changes, and then they can rerun their Apex queries as and when required. And I would also like to say that here we have a similar properties by price component, and further down we have a similar properties by bedrooms component. So although I have 2 components here, they are using almost the same code except for the search criteria changes either to being price or bedrooms. So we have done that by developing one component, and in your app builder you can go and choose like what you want that component to search by, either price or by bedrooms. So we have one by price here, and the same component code is further down here, which is searching by number of bedrooms. So that was my first demo. Now let me go on to the second demo. So the second demo is a feature that we have been working on, and it's an exciting new feature. So let me set up this page so I can better demo it. So for that, I will rearrange this page in the Lightning App Builder. I'll save this page and go back to the record home. So before I start showing you the demo, so what we have noticed is many customers today, as they are developing Lightning components, they do have many Visualforce components as well that they have built in the past or several years. And these Visualforce components take care of some useful functionality. So typically they have a Lightning page now with a Lightning component plus Visualforce components on the same page. And in many cases, users can update records either through the Lightning component or through the Visualforce component. But then they end up doing things like they do a refresh view or they reload the page after any such save happens. That's not a very good user experience. So what we have done is we have updated LDS to take care of that problem for you. Now in this page, now you see a Lightning component here displaying the property details on the left side. Now on the right, I have a custom Visualforce component that's displaying fields from the same property record. Now let's say I were to update the property name here. I'll change it to John's Super Amazing House. And pay attention to the Visualforce component here. So I save this one. And if you noticed, the Visualforce component is updated right away. So that works both ways. So if I were to update something on the Visualforce component, we can achieve the same on the Lightning component as well. Amazing Dream House and update. And this one updates both these components. Let me reload this one. So for one part, we saw components on the same page, but taking it further, let's say I am viewing this record, and my colleague Alan, he is going to do an update on the same record on his browser. So Alan, can you make an update?
Sure, Praveen. So I'm logged in as my own user, and I'm on the same record. And I feel like I need to change the property name, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and click Save.
So you notice, like, he made a change, and we saw an update on my browser. So this is like an awesome new feature. Now Alan can keep doing this. Any user can keep updating the record. And the record that I'm viewing gets updated for free. Like I don't have to do anything. And he's updated it again. For the Visualforce, I think I need to check my network connectivity, but the idea is all the components get updated on the page. Let's do it once more.
Yeah, I think I'm going to update the price. I'm going to lower it.
Okay.
To 650,000.
So there you go. So Alan lowered the price, and I saw the update right away. Now to take care of this new feature, there's nothing additional that you need to do in your code. As long as you're using Force Record Data and Lightning Data Service, you would be getting this functionality for free across your Lightning components and Visualforce components. Now with this, I'll hand it back to Alan.
All right, thanks, Praveen. So just to reiterate, this is kind of amazing what you've just seen. So we've had two different users on two different machines, both looking at the same record. One updates the record, and without the other person having to refresh the page, it automatically gets pushed that new data. So it remains in sync automatically, even through multi-users. So this is a pilot that we're doing right now. And if you're interested, you can contact your account team or your success team and see if we can get you involved in that pilot. So let me get back to the right slide. Our roadmap, we're planning on adding more types of data and metadata, like object info, pick lists, lists, child records, things like that. But we heard from our customers, and they said that keeping the data in sync between Visualforce components was more important than providing these other endpoints first. So we went ahead and solved that problem. But now that it's solved, we're going to start working on providing these other types of data for you. If you're interested in learning more on your own about Lightning Data Service, we have some trails on Trailhead that you can go take, get your hands dirty, and try some code out, do some demos. And with that, I think we're out of time for Q&A, but we're going to be around, so we're just going to be up here. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And with that, thanks for coming.